This is the Sell Your Brand Show with James Bray and Mike Killen, the one-stop shop for creative solopreneurs and startups to get the best practical advice on how to build, how to brand, and how to sell online products and content. Let's get to it. Hey guys, this is James from Brand Snack.
And this is Mike from Sell Your Service.
And this week we are talking about professionalism. What does it actually mean? And how can you boost yours? Mike, you alright, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
Good.
I'm good. Yeah, we had a big launch this week, and it seems to be going okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, and my main thing is that we've got these new toys.
Oh, mate, it's staring me right in the face, literally.
Just a big old pole, just dangling right in front of your face.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
Although your tripod's a lot bigger.
Should we elaborate? Because now it's getting weird.
Yeah, nothing to do with the podcast. Yeah. No, we basically picked up a couple of mics. For those interested, that one is the one James has got is an Audio Technica 2100. Which has both a dynamic kind of, the dynamic cable as well as the USB cable. And I'm on a Shure SM58. Again, this is just a dynamic cable for this microphone. And we're recording onto an H4n Pro, which basically gives us up to 4 tracks. It has a built-in microphone, but we're using these ones. Might have to bear with us for a couple of weeks while we kind of make sure we get everything perfect. I don't think we've got those pop filters.
No, not yet.
No, we'll
get those.
Yeah, we'll need to pick up one of them.
Yeah, we used to be on a Yeti beforehand.
Yeah, and
which was really good, really good.
Yeah, to be fair to Yeti, Yeti claims it can be used as an interview mic, and I don't think it's as strong as it thinks it is. Having said that, for what are they, 150 quid?
I think I picked mine up for about 100.
Yeah,
it's
like
for 100
amazing. Quid. It's just a fantastic. Diverse microphone. But what we wanted, the reason we picked this up is because the Yeti has to be plugged into a laptop all the time.
Yep.
And we basically thought, well, with the Zoom and with a couple of mics, we can be anywhere, we can do anything. And if we ever go to events and stuff, we're going to try and sort out the sound quality and stuff as over time as we get used to it and things like measuring levels. Which I've got absolutely no idea on. It's ironic we should be talking about professionalism this week.
I know, look at that.
The least professional audio man in the world. I quite literally have no idea what I'm doing. So yeah, how about you, man? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm very good, mate. I'm very good. I am enjoying the sunshine because we've got it back for a day at least. As the clouds start to roll in.
Yesterday was sweltering.
Yesterday was sweltering.
Proper hot, wasn't it?
I literally walked around naked. I didn't.
But... Is that why you're here with an ankle monitor on today? And a new ASBO.
And one sock.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Professionalism.
So yeah, talking about professionalism. So professionalism, it's a weird sort of area to get into when you run your own business, because I think a lot of us don't like working in an office or corporate environment, and they claim that they're very professional.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, what professionalism actually gets you is more people want to work with you, basically. And there's something incredibly appealing and incredibly attractive about working with someone that's clearly professional, clearly knows what they're doing, clearly knows their stuff. Clients want to work with you, joint ventures want to work with you. And ultimately, I think what that does is increase your inquiries and leads and sales. But it's not wearing a suit.
No, exactly. And I think that's where a lot of the kind of myths come into it about being professional. When just kind of researching about this episode, I was having a little look online and just seeing what the main kind of advice was out there for being professional.
Yeah.
And a whole load of it is bullshit.
Yeah.
It's seriously, it misses the point completely.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that I've seen is, like you say, it's very much focused on working in a corporate environment.
Yeah.
And their definition of being professional is completely skewed and completely wrong because they missed the point.
Yeah.
So stuff like, be on time.
Yeah.
Well, of course you're going to be on time. If
it's this is professionalism almost goes into that realm of what people think a USP or a unique selling point is. It's like they'll say, "Oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Like I'm going to be friendly, on time, and we're professional." I'm like, well, why would you say you don't do those things?
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's not professionalism. That's also not a USP. If someone won't say the opposite of it, you know, and I don't think anyone prides themselves on being late.
Yeah.
So I think, it's like I said, it's kind of missing the point of what professionalism actually gets you. Because the reality is that the majority of our, like, if you think in the classic literal terms, none of us are professionals. We're not solicitors or doctors or accountants. We haven't got,
the definition has changed over
yes,
time.
It's absolutely changed. Having said that, you know, there's an enormous amount to be said for someone who... The big problem I think a lot of us face is that anyone can pick up a laptop and all of a sudden they are a marketer or a, you know, content creator or a course producer or something.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crippling to see that, you know, come through to people. So what was some of the other stuff that you had seen? Seen?
One of them, to be professional, you have to dress professionally. I'm sorry, I don't know what does that mean.
If you want to be seen as professional, don't turn up in a mankini.
Unless you're selling them, and that's pretty professional.
Yeah, if you're selling them, yeah,
you know,
you're absolutely right.
If you're the inventor of the mankini, your job is to sell mankinis, I don't want to see you in a suit.
Yeah.
Particularly, I don't want to see you in a mankini either, but you want to be in a mankini because that's your job.
That's a really good point, actually.
You know? Yeah. Like, for example, like if you walk into like a tattoo studio, you're not going to see them sitting there in a suit and a tie.
No.
That doesn't make them look professional because they're in a suit and a tie.
I would absolutely walk out of a tattoo parlour that...
You would, wouldn't you?
The guy was wearing a suit or the girl was wearing a suit. You're absolutely right.
Because you're going to get an Excel spreadsheet tattooed to your ass.
Serial number. Yeah, do you know, I hadn't thought about that. What I'm always fascinated by in the office space is to have like Casual Friday. Casual Friday has always done my head in because that is someone whose idea of fun is collecting postcards with tractors on them.
Hey.
And
I love those.
Yeah, and anyone who does that out there, I'm sure there's billions of you out there who do that. That's fine. But typically, a manager will go, "Oh no, we're gonna, you know, we're a bit wacky here in the office. We're a bit mad. Sometimes, you know, every Friday we'll have Casual Friday." And you go, "Okay, why is that?" I go, "Well, it helps morale, and you know, people are kind of more casual." And I'm like, "All right, if that's good for people's morale, and if that's like a good working environment, why don't you do it every day?"
Yeah.
And it always staggers me like, no, the other 4 days we have to be strictly professional.
And they can't answer it, can they?
No, definitely not.
And especially in some of the companies I've worked in, and pretty much most companies, sales guys, for example, that have a desk-based job, that sit on the phone, have to sit there in a suit and tie.
Yeah.
The only people that see them in a suit and a tie is the sales guy that sits next to them.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Why? How is that being professional?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And this is a part of a. I think we're lucky because we're entering a new phase of what people consider, you know, business. We have all these like kind of cool CEOs and stuff who walk around. And now I think that hasn't really been any different since kind of the 1980s. A guy that we work with used to be the president of emerging markets at Motorola, and he had really long hippie hair, and he was like, "No, I'm not going to cut this," and he is a proper hippie. I think a suit is appropriate in a way that, like you said, a bathing suit is appropriate. There are different areas, and to say that to wear a suit everywhere is appropriate is professional, I think is missing the point. Because I'd way rather work with someone who wears a hoodie and is just constantly getting me results, rather than someone who believes that wearing a suit is what will get them results. And that's what I never understood. I don't understand how what I wear affects the results I can get.
Yeah, exactly.
And just.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm just going to finish up on this bit on my very most favourite point.
Do it, and we'll rate out of 10 how many times you or I have ever done this. Bearing in mind we both came from essentially a corporate background, right?
Right. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Carry a notepad with you everywhere you go to write down info. Rate that one, Mike.
Straight out of the gate, 0 out of 10. 0 out of 10 times has that ever happened.
Everywhere you go, Mike.
Yeah.
A notepad.
Canteen.
Literally.
Outside
a toilet.
for a fag break.
Yeah, wherever. Just to write down info.
The notepad thing is funny because I actually think it's a weird... I used to see people write stuff down in their notepads just all the time, just writing. And I was notorious at one company for never writing anything down. I was like, but we haven't decided anything. What we've done is we've talked around a subject, but we haven't decided anything. I'll write down goals, usually because there's only one a year that we ever have to write down.
Yeah.
Sell more.
Yeah.
And it always staggered me. People are like, oh, you're not really writing anything down. It's like, what? You want me to take minutes? Is that what you want? Because what you're asking for is minutes. And even then, minutes are writing down decisions, not just things we've been talking about.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and again, if someone's just furiously scribbling around, but again, I guess if you're a policeman, carry a notepad around with you. I watched Hot Fuzz recently, and Nicholas Angel, the main guy played by Simon Pegg, he says that his notepad is his number one weapon. But
he's obviously read that stuff out there.
yeah. Like I get
Took
that.
it to heart.
But yeah, that's
it's insane. The thing is, you usually see people that do write everything down.
Yeah.
Everything down.
Yeah.
When you say like, oh, can you tell me like what about
Do you remember
this?
a couple of weeks ago when we talked about?
They're like,
yeah.
Oh, I've got that in a notebook somewhere. And they spend about 20 minutes looking through their 17 notebooks trying to find the page. It's
That's
like,
useful.
If it's that buried and you've forgotten it already,
It's probably not that important.
it wasn't important in the first place. So don't write it down.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, my big problem with notepads in general. So I personally like to use them to write in for myself because I think that's very useful. But yeah, that was a thing. Write down decisions.
Yeah.
Not just notes on what people are saying, because it will not. I mean, I have got mountains of books full of notes that I know and I'm never ever going to use again.
Yeah. But that's it. Like, and all of these points that.
Where the fuck did you get these tips from?
I don't want to say.
Like GQ or something.
You know what? You would be surprised. They are actually mostly from job hunting websites.
That doesn't surprise me at all, actually. The least professional companies in the world.
Exactly. But they're the ones that rank the highest. As soon as you like start
searching for it.
That's what's given out to the majority of people that want to find out how to be more professional.
Yeah.
And it's the most useless, pointless advice and sends them off in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So
that's hilarious.
On the show today, we're going to get you guys into a bit more of a mindset about how you can actually be professional.
Yeah.
It's not about all those stupid, pointless, trivial things. It's about who you are in yourself and how you act and how you behave. Mm-hmm. That's what sets you apart, and that's what makes you professional. So we've got a few points to go through. First one is having values.
Yep.
Having values, knowing what you stand for, and sticking to them.
Yeah. That to me is the biggest thing. People don't like big companies. We don't like big corporations. But the reason that they are instantly identified as more professional is because they have values. Now, this is where it's become skewed. One company's particular values might be that everyone has to wear a suit, kind of like a uniform. And if that's part of their values, I can get that. For example, when working at John Lewis, we had to wear a suit, even if we were just on the shop floor and behind the till, men had to wear a shirt and tie.
Yep.
And because that was part of a uniform being put out, right?
Yeah. I was going to see that's part of a perception thing. And it's a uniform is also part of your brand and how your customers perceive you.
Yes.
If it's part of an experience for your customer, then it's necessary.
Yeah.
If it's you sitting in an office with a colleague and your customer never ever sees that, then absolutely pointless. It depends what you want your customers to perceive.
And that is your values.
Yeah, exactly.
That ultimately, and it comes down to all sorts of stuff, like everything within your content, everything within how you direct calls, how the customers get through to you, you know, what is valuable to the way that you conduct your business. Yeah. And then, sticking to them. Yeah. Commitment. I think a huge amount of professionalism comes down to being seen as committed.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I completely agree.
Like anyone can kind of do one thing when they feel like it, but being disciplined enough to stick to it is that to me is a sign of professionalism.
Yeah, because anyone can say anything, and if you don't follow through with it,
yeah,
then
anyone can say anything. You're absolutely right, James.
Quote me on that.
That's another classic one for the wall. That'll go up on Instagram.
I'll tell you what. Well, I've got you a coaster for that for your birthday. I'm sorry to spoil it now, but it was, the moment was there.
Anyone can say anything.
Anyone can say anything. James Bray.
That's what I'm going to use. Yeah, James
2017.
All right. So what's next?
On that great note.
Yeah.
So following on from your values and the way what you stand for and what you believe in, comes actually promising your audience something and delivering on those promises.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you promise them. Your promises have to stack up to your values.
Yeah.
You have to match with those. But you need to promise them something, because if you don't, then your customer is completely unclear about what they're going to be getting from you and what they can expect.
Yeah. This kind of thing about making promises I've been kind of thinking about recently. And if you're not willing to make promises to your customers, why would they be willing to commit to you?
Yeah.
And I've been trying to really rack my brains and answer that. And the short answer is actually they don't. But yeah, again, and this is another place that big companies really miss the mark on, is that they believe that professionalism means never being wrong.
Yeah.
As opposed to
Yeah.
trying to deliver everything you can. And they would rather err on the side of caution. And I coincidentally, I think that actually makes them seem way less professional than someone who says, yeah, I guarantee you I'm going to get you this.
Yeah.
Now, that might not be, I'm going to make you, we've talked about this before, I'm not going to make you 10 million in a year. It says, I am going to absolutely deliver you a website that does ABC.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to deliver you a course that will teach you ABC. But
It's about being realistic.
absolutely being realistic. But yeah, making promises. Yeah, and making commitments to people. Again, committing to
promises and
something,
commitments.
Yeah.
Definitely. Honesty, that follows on from this. Be honest, not only to your customers, but also with yourself. Be honest in what you can achieve. Be honest in your skill set and your skill level to yourself. What are you amazing at? Where do you need to improve? Do you need to improve there? Even if you're bad at it, do you need to improve there? Do you need to focus your energies elsewhere?
Yep.
Be honest on how you can get the most out of yourself to benefit the people you're trying to help.
Yep. And and transparency, honesty. Yeah, definitely. There's not really a huge amount that I can add on to that. Partly because I've never tried it, but
No, mate, seriously, you lie at every moment. It's disgusting.
my name's not even Mike Gillen.
He's not even real.
Well, that just makes you look like a mental person.
Good
It makes
point.
you sound like you're recording two separate audio tracks.
I'll tell you what, I'll dub over that.
Edit that out.
Edit that one.
Well, I'm going to keep referring back to it, so you won't be able to edit it out.
How professional, Mike.
But yeah, honesty, yeah. And again, it kind of staggers me just how often you and I have both seen it when large companies that would genuinely have a go at you if you weren't wearing a collared shirt. I forget how many times that one particular company, and I genuinely would never see customers. I was in digital marketing behind a desk 9 hours a day.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't want to wear a collared shirt today, Mike. No,
No,
because Google doesn't check whether I'm wearing a collared shirt when I do a fucking search engine test.
They will do soon.
Yeah, they will do, absolutely.
They're getting there.
And yet, at the same time, they would brag about not being honest to customers. They would actually brag about, oh well, we've managed to get away with this. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
Yeah, it's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah, and some of the things that, like only the other week, I sent out a coaching call email. And instead of segmenting it to people who were paying for coaching, I sent it to absolutely everybody. And I was just like, I'm really sorry, guys. You're going to be getting one less coaching call this week, so I'll make up for it. But there was no point in me kind of trying to hide around it or think, yeah, I've got away with it, because I was just like, it's just, I'm disappointed in myself more than anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, honesty.
Yeah, honesty. And then respect, another one that follows on from honesty. You need to have respect for both, again, yourself and your customer. if you don't respect them and you don't show that in everything that you do and everything that you say and everything how you interact with them, they're gonna notice.
Yep.
They're gonna smell it from a mile off, and you won't be seen as professional because they can't trust you.
Yeah.
And that's what that ultimately boils down to, is trust.
A lot of this stuff as well is you're not going to get it unless you give it.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, people aren't going to be committing to you if you don't commit to them. Your customers definitely won't be honest with you if you're not honest to them. They won't give you respect if you don't respect yourself.
Yeah.
And henceforth respect others.
Yeah, exactly.
But none of this has got to do with the clothes you wear or the type of haircut you've got.
No, exactly. Or the notepad you carry around with you. Empathy. Now, this is all about understanding your audience, your customer, not only about what they want and what they need, but also what they're going through and how they're feeling, and how you can help them in that.
Yes.
Your customers aren't just numbers. They aren't just statistics.
Yeah.
They're people. They're humans. And it's all about understanding that and knowing how you can fit into their lives to make it better on all levels. So
the thing about kind of when you're talking to customers is just in general, I think a lot of the time, a lot of businesses get caught up in the idea of that they know what the customer needs. And when the customer says, look, I want ABC, but we're so caught up in going, oh, well, actually what you need is this. And I kind of think I don't think the customer's always right at all. It's often they're always wrong. But I think a lot of the time we ignore what customers are telling us.
Yeah. Because
we've got this idea of what we should be putting in front of them,
Yeah.
And of course there's a balance, absolutely. But yeah, empathy most of empathy is actually just being willing to listen and actually hear people,
Yeah. Yeah. And that kind of brings us on to our next point, the willingness to listen.
Yep.
If you can shut up for a minute and actually listen, as business owners and as content creators, we love to talk. We love to put our own opinions out there. We love to put our own voice out there. We love to put our own products out there. Everything is quite self-obsessed in a way that it's all coming from us.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time we just need to be quiet and listen.
Yeah.
Because that's when you're going to get the most feedback and the most benefit from your customers. Because as you say, they'll tell you exactly what they want. And it's a funny thing that when people talk and they really feel like they're being listened to and they really feel like they're being valued and acted upon, that's when they will respect you.
Yeah.
And that's when they will see you as being professional.
Yeah.
Because you're not just ball charging ahead with what you want to do. You're actually doing something that helps them and you're there for them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think listening is a massively undervalued skill. I know that it's good salespeople know how to talk. Great salespeople know how to listen.
Yeah.
It's actually the talking side that most salespeople will be taught in and encouraged to do. Whereas really, the more you can listen, and I think as well, the more you listen to people, the more they think that you think that they are interesting.
Yeah.
Which actually makes you appear more interesting.
Yeah.
Listening's this huge part. In fact, we could do just an entire episode on listening, because it's such an integral part of, like you say, the feedback process and how people feel respected and stuff. There's nothing more irritating than someone constantly trying to talk over to you and interrupting you.
Yeah.
What's
that, Mike? No, go on.
No,
go on.
I was just going to say.
Carry on. Yeah.
You can definitely tell that it definitely is just you by yourself, because no one else would be fucking willing to put up with that.
I'm surprised you haven't told me to get out by now.
Yeah, I know it is infuriating. I think it's the fastest way. I remember being told only recently. That was it. You're very insightful, Mike, and I have never been called insightful. And it was because the person who I was with, who was kind of a mentor of mine, said, it's because you let her talk throughout most of it and you were just asking questions.
Nice.
And it completely changed my opinion on just how valuable listening is. I was like, fuck yeah, the more someone talks, actually, a lot of the time they end up talking themselves into, a purchase or a buy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think because usually when people talk, they're justifying things in their head.
Yeah.
And they're sorting things out just verbally.
Yeah.
And if you're there as a kind of sounding board for that, you don't have to say a lot. You just have to listen and let them do that kind of mental arithmetic. But you also get a lot out of it as well, because you get to understand their thought process. And like you say, off the back of that, they will then see that you are not only interested in what they have to say, but you become more interesting in turn and more professional.
Yeah.
Off the back of that, you also need to have a willingness to talk. Because if you're not saying anything, then no one is going to respect your authority on a subject matter.
Yeah.
I've got a little caveat on that though.
Yeah.
Talk, but don't talk too much.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is a lot of people mistake their personal identity with their brand identity.
Yep.
Or their business identity. And cross over inappropriately.
Yes.
I have been in some situations with professionals that have been talking about quite kind of like serious matters. And suddenly they'll cross over into something like, I'm going to Glastonbury this weekend. Yeah. And you're like, I don't care about your personal life.
Yeah.
This matter is very important to me. It might not be to you. It might just be a job to you. But to me, it's quite an emotional, important thing.
Yeah.
And your personal values and personal life shouldn't cross over into that of your businesses and your brands unless it's relevant to your brand's personality also.
Yeah, because there's the thing... I suppose I've got to be quite careful with this, but because as we enter a new wave of, I'm going to be talking a little bit about this later, as we enter this new wave of how people buy and interact with each other, I'm now essentially friends with a lot of my customers on Facebook.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of people said, you shouldn't do that. And I go, well, to be honest, I don't really use Facebook personally anymore, like for personal reasons. And I've noticed if I put on pictures of me going skydiving, my customers love that. And I think it's actually part of the personality. It's like, my guy's this guy who goes out and does these like mad things, and he's got these goals and things like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, nothing turns me off someone more, and I purely mean in a sexual way. Obviously, talking of professionalism, right? No. So when you're like at a networking event, and this has happened to me more than once, to the point where I've thought this is obviously a thing that people do, is when you're talking to someone and they tell you about like a really personal fact about themselves that's like quite serious, or even people that you know, like in an office space, and they'll go, I'm having a hysterectomy. I'm like, why are you telling me this?
Yeah.
I've got absolutely no idea why you think that would be appropriate for me to know. It's not that I don't care, it's just that it's way outside my remit of someone who you casually see 2.5 days a week.
Yeah.
Like this concept, and this is part of the problem, is that we are in this world of oversharing now. And there's a couple of professional networks that I'm a part of, not just online, but offline as well. And there's 2 or 3 people who will share pictures of their kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, I pay like 10 grand a year to be a member of this. But your children, as lovely as they are at the top of a list called things I don't give a shit about. Like, I'm really great that you're really happy and really proud. Now, having said that, I've put a huge caveat. One of my mates, Troy, recently had a baby, and he did post in his group. Slightly different because he's the director and founder of that group, and there are over 1,000 people who absolutely adore him.
Well, there we go.
You know,
and that's when it's okay to cross over parts of your personal life into your
I totally agree. It's really important, and the baby thing is maybe a bit harsh because actually it's not that big a deal. But there does seem to be this wave of, and also it's stuff like, in professional groups, like on the other side, this triviality thing, people posting pictures of cat memes.
Yeah,
I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a bit wacky. Is it Casual Friday again? That's what it is. I'm like, if this is good, everyone be doing it all the time. This doesn't help me. Like, provide constructive feedback, not posting shit like this. So, yeah, and this is kind of, I think social media is sort of brought a lot of this up more. Like it's really easy. It's much easier to blur the lines in this kind of stuff now.
It is, and we know ourselves better than anyone, and therefore we find it easy to talk about and share things that we like. Mm-hmm. That's why it's absolutely vital that you determine a separate personality for your business and your brand.
Yeah.
And use that as a sounding board for its values and its personality. It needs to be separate from yours. It can incorporate parts of your personality and parts of your values if they make sense, but it needs to be a separate entity. And in order to create that, you need to understand who you're talking to. You need to understand your audience and what's going to resonate with them. To be fair, if you are literally the embodiment of your business and your brand, and you are speaking to people that you know love everything about your values personally and your lifestyle and your thoughts, then make that your brand, because that's what your audience want to see.
Actually, I don't think they're actually. I think anyone who we look at and go, oh man, they are their brand, and they get the. Even then, I think a lot of that is very carefully constructed. I actually don't think it exists for the two things to exist in just one person.
No.
I think it looks like it does.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely, if you've got to craft that, go for it. But yeah, I think a lot of the time when we see, you know, like for example, my stuff that I post, I'm a huge racist. But no one would ever guess that from being friends with me on Facebook. That's just like those private networks I was talking about.
Oh yeah. With pictures of kids.
I keep saying
this is sounding just
real weird. That was real weird. Edit that out. But no. In all seriousness, I do think there's a lot of times when we mistake. That's kind of like a don't meet your heroes thing.
Yes.
Like when you have your favorite artist or musician or something, and you're like, oh, on stage they're always like really friendly and stuff. And you meet them, and they're like, oh, actually no, that's completely a persona, and they're actually a really nasty piece of work.
Well, that's the thing. When you usually, just going a bit sort of off topic, when you usually see like the biographical movies about like rock stars and musicians and actors and stuff, and you realise that their on-screen persona is completely different to what they actually like in real life. Yeah. They've usually got like some massive issues going on in their real life that makes them a horrible person to be around. Yeah. Whereas on screen, because they've developed this persona that they want to externalize to people, they seem incredible. And they seem like the best person in the world that you would want to be their best mate. But in reality, you wouldn't. Yeah. I'm not saying that's the relationship between most people and their brands, because it's not. But it's all about knowing when to share values and when to create a separate persona and identity for your brand. Yeah. And like you say, those ones that do seem like they mirror both the personal and the brand, the corporate, have been so incredibly crafted into doing. There's been so much work gone into the background of those to make them seem like that. It's not just something that's kind of organically grown into that. It's something that's been honed and purposefully made into that. So yeah, always remember that when you're talking to your customers, you're talking as your brand and not yourself. Yeah. And you need to define what your brand is. Yeah. The next one is a willingness to actually better yourself. I think a lot of people find attractiveness, not just in the kind of like that sort of sense, but also just in the general kind of, mate, you're pretty amazing. Yeah. For people that constantly are improving themselves and willing to learn and wanting to get better and better and better. And I think that desire and that drive is hugely professional. Yeah. And if you see that in someone, you're going to be like, this is someone that knows what they're doing, that constantly wants to better themselves. Yep. And in turn, I'm going to be able to get more and more and more out of this person to help myself. Yeah. Yeah. I've always said that people who have got a lot going on are always people that you'll see learning more stuff. I think the easiest way to, if you're desperate to start positioning yourself and you've got absolutely no idea how, one of the easiest things that you can do is to
talk about what you're learning, the courses you're taking, the networks you're a part of, the seminars you're attending, the webinars you're going to be joining. People will instantly, because people who know that there's more, that they haven't reached their potential yet, there's more they can do, they're the guys who are learning stuff and who are proud of it. And yeah, you're absolutely right, willing to better yourself. And you kind of, if you look back and you go, well, if you couldn't quite put your finger on it and you think back at people and go, I don't think that they are that professional, look at the characteristics they've got. I guarantee you that people who you think, something doesn't really click with this person, they are the type of person that turn their nose up at learning new skills.
Yeah.
And we see that a lot.
Yeah.
But it's it's funny, that one, isn't it? Because it's something that everyone should be doing anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And just like you said, which leads us into our next point, off the back of it, you need to be willing to help others better themselves also.
Yeah.
And that willingness to learn and that willingness to then share that, like you say, talk about courses that you're taking, talk about seminars that you're going to, talk about people, inspiring people that you're speaking to or you're following. That then in turn helps other people. And the more people know and understand that you're there to help them and you can help them, the more they will find you professional. You have a couple of points, mate.
Well, you've got. Do you want to finish with that last one? Or
I'll finish with the last.
Yeah. Because that's a really good point.
Yeah,
and that's something that comes up. So to me, the bit we're going on a bit of a case study. Like I said, there's a lot of blurred lines now between. You and I are constantly saying you need to have more conversations with people. All of this really boils down to having conversations with people. Only the other day, I had someone email me back and say, I really respect, Mike, that you will manually reach out to people who have signed up and say, hey, this is not automated. I just want to see how you're going. He said, I really, really respect that because it takes 2 seconds, but there's something about that. And we are on Facebook and people can see my profile and there's Twitter and stuff like this. Now, we do have a lot of people try to connect with us on Facebook, try to connect with me on Facebook. And this sounds harsh, and anyone who's listening who's friends with me on Facebook, I apologise. I get a barrage of messages every single day, okay, because people want to reach out to me. Now that's awesome. That's great that people feel they can reach out to me. We have specifically tried to set up a couple of groups where people can reach out to me. We also have an email address which is monitored by our team. And I do find that the boundaries that people have, I don't think they've changed. I just think that you as a content producer and a course creator who's going to be interacting very deeply with your audience, you have to set those boundaries up. Yeah. And now we have done. I've just said, look, guys, I'm not accepting any more requests like this because it's becoming overwhelming for me. Having those boundaries, again, for your customers as well. If you're giving your phone number to your customers, that is a boundary that I would personally never cross. I don't want my customers to have my phone number. Oh, well, and it's what's interesting, as soon as I tell other small businesses that, some of them go, oh, well, how are they going to get in contact with you? What if there's an emergency? I'm like, well, if there's an actual emergency, we'll probably be in the building when it's being evacuated. Like, realistically, that's about the worst it's going to happen, because I don't want people calling me on a Sunday evening. I don't want people calling me on Saturday. I don't want people calling me after 5 or 6 or whatever it is. That's not to say that I'm not working. I think a big part of professionalism is that I'm happy to work until 1, 2 in the morning on my stuff because I just need to get it done.
Do what needs to be done,
and that's not about work. I don't really believe in work-life balance. I believe I'd rather just build a life that I enjoy rather than something I feel I've got to escape for 3 months a year. And this concept of boundaries to me is the height of professionalism. Because there's, I don't know, we get people, and I'm now friends with people on Facebook who are customers, and there's some stuff that they say that I'm like, wow, like, which will kind of, come on to another couple of points that we've got. I'm like, how can you say that? How can you possibly say that? There's a couple of things about like immigration and stuff. I'm like, both my parents are immigrants. You've got absolutely no idea what you're talking about there. and yet they are essentially customers, and I kind of feel blurring that line. And that's a mistake on my behalf. I should have, to be fair, I was told, people did say to me, don't allow it. And if people get offended, that's on them. That's not to do with you.
Yeah.
So understand your boundaries. Don't be afraid to have them. Professional people have boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with that one. And I've started getting similar things of people like wanting to request joining me on Facebook, and I'm just like, that's a personal boundary. Like my personal Facebook profile is my personal one. I have set up a brand for Brand Snacks Facebook group, a professional email, all of that side of things, where people can come into contact, when people can ask me questions, where people can interact with me on a professional level. All of those systems and processes and places are available and in place, that people shouldn't have to join into the personal side of things, and I don't want that happening. So I've set that boundary for myself also, because there needs to be a line between your business, your brand, and your personal life, and you can't fully integrate those two. You need to determine separate entities for both.
And like I said, to be honest, Facebook's a bad example because I don't really care personally on my Facebook, because it's more stuff like, and we don't get it now, to be fair. I don't get it because everyone I work with knows that I just won't respond to you. I only respond to emails an hour a day anyway. But you did used to have, I remember when starting out, you'd have people kind of emailing you and calling you at weird times and stuff. I just want to pick your brains. And I'm like, man, it's 9 o'clock on a Thursday, fuck off. So boundaries. Kind of wrapping it up, the big thing that I found when I was just one little guy just building websites, having a process. So every new customer had to go through a qualification worksheet. Every new customer who passed that qualification worksheet, we would do a questionnaire with them, usually on Skype or face to face if it was close enough. And they had to answer this stuff. And what's interesting is that I could increase my prices almost overnight as soon as I started having a process like this, and it was being systemized and we followed it. And I could always tell if it was a process if I could explain it to somebody else and they could execute on it. If they could get the same results that I can, it's a process. And what was interesting is that, you know what? 90% of businesses that we started working with or started inquiring said, oh, look, no, I really just wanted to have a chat with you over coffee. This is a bit too much for me. And they'd be like, oh, it's a bit too professional or a bit too corporate. And I was always really interested in that, because someone then said to me, they said, well, what were you expecting, Mike? Of course you're going to eliminate people. That's sort of the point. You want people to not be a part of that. If they're not willing to fill out a couple of worksheets, how good do you think they'll be at paying your bills on time?
Yeah, exactly.
How good do you think they'll be at, respecting your time and not emailing you at, 1 a.m. and stuff?
Yeah, so their commitment and their boundaries are obviously pretty lacking.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, it's now something that we look for. We look for our suppliers to have a process. And if they kind of seem to be winging it, it's not someone that I want to work with, because I'm like, all right, well, if something goes wrong, what's their process? Well, they probably don't have one.
Yeah, that's true.
That's very true. Having a process,
Yeah. That's huge. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Processes just breed confidence. And if you know that there's a process in place to either get you to where you want to be or to sort out something that goes wrong, and that backup is there, that's going to make you feel hugely more kind of trustful and confident in actually dealing with them. Yeah, no, it's huge.
Yeah, well, that was kind of the only things that I wanted to add on.
Cool.
You got
that's really good.
Another couple of points to wrap up?
Yeah, just the last one really. It's kind of like a whole rounder of everything, and it's be a decent human being. Straight out.
Can't do it.
Well, this is true.
That's my problem.
This is where Mike fails.
Yeah. So this is. Yeah, because there's one thing I just want to say about this. So, well, the big thing to me is that, again, in companies and whatever, I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's I'm a prude or I think I've got quite a good sense of humour,
Debatable. Carry on, though.
Carry on. Thank you. So, the thing that I could never understand was in an office environment, any kind of office. At the moment we work in a co-working space, but whatever. There was always a couple of people on the team who would insist on making the most inappropriate jokes possible, to the point where it clearly made other people feel uncomfortable. And I was like, you are preventing someone from just being able to come in and do their job and feel comfortable in their working environment. At the very least, you should be able to do that.
Yeah.
I think we're lucky, the co-working space I'm at, there's absolutely no one who would ever even dream of doing that. But we have worked in offices where, don't know, some people's kind of, they're happy to say they wear a suit and they constantly bang on about their numbers and stuff and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But they'll say jokes that no one really laughs at. They're going to go,
yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing? That might be, your friends with a 2-digit IQ might find that fucking hilarious. I don't want to hear that kind of stuff in the office. I want to be able to just do my job. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
That to me is there's no way that you would say that, you know, to people that you don't know. And if you do, you're probably a bit of a dickhead. Yeah. And therefore you're probably not that professional. Yeah. And no matter what, I'm always going to think you're a dickhead. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because you've been an arsehole. Yeah. Basically, because you haven't empathized with people around you. Yes. And that's basically it. That's it. Yeah. You haven't read the room. Yeah. You've put yourself in a situation that you've decided is exactly the same as your inner circle of friends. Yeah. Yeah. And you've deemed it appropriate to then start making like really inappropriate comments or jokes or making it, like you say, uncomfortable for other people to work there. Yeah. Or just being completely obnoxious. Yeah. You know, all of those arsehole traits. Yeah. Because you're not just being a decent human being. Yeah. Business is all about working with people. It's all about building a relationship. It's all about building an emotional connection. If you're not doing that in the nicest, friendliest possible way, and nurturing that and empathizing with the person that you're speaking to and respecting the person that you're speaking to or those around you that you can touch, you can reach, then no one is going to respect you. No one is going to find you professional. And you are going to be known as an absolute knob end. Yeah. You will do. So to round all that up, being a decent human being and don't be someone that you're not. Yeah, because I think one of the most important things that anyone can do, and it's something we're not really taught it at school. I think we pick it up, particularly if you've got if you've got family and friends and siblings and stuff when you're young, and you kind of learn these social dynamics. You know, yeah. I think one of the most important things you can do, particularly in a working space, is make other people feel comfortable. Yeah. That to me is something that I'm always very, very conscious of. I say my job is essentially to make people feel as comfortable as possible. And as soon as you start making jokes that you've got no idea how they're going to respond to, but even if you think that they will, inside that space, is it really so hilariously groundbreaking? And I mean like true groundbreaking comedy that you've got that you have to say it in the office? Yeah. Probably not. Yeah. Like you're probably not that funny or that brilliant a comedian, or you know, it's stuff like when people forget like their wallet or whatever, and yeah, borrowing money or whatever, it's totally up to you. Like I some people just don't want to lend money, and I get that, but at the same time, like just what would make someone feel more comfortable, that's all you should be trying to do, you know. Yeah. And that's, I think, a lot of part of just being a decent human being is do people feel comfortable around you? Yeah. Yeah, you know? That is it. Yeah, do people feel comfortable around you? And a lot of that's to do with boundaries. Like a lot of that's to do with, you know, setting ground rules and stuff. And it's kind of, I think we are in this weird thing where everyone's right and you don't want to offend anyone, but by not offending anyone, that's offending people. Yeah. But actually, kind of most people, I believe, are still in a kind of a teenager or a toddler mindset. Yeah. And actually, people really like boundaries. They really like boundaries. Yeah, they do. You know? And I think by giving people that makes them feel more comfortable, and you know, you will seem like a better person. Yeah, you will do. It's funny that, isn't it, that the people... Because like if I was buying a printer, and the guy was a real dickhead, I'd be like, well, it's gonna be half an hour of my life. I don't really care. Just get it over with. But it was something for a long-term purchase, and the person just, if I just didn't click with them, that would immediately, I think, this person isn't a professional.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting.
Yeah, usually in services.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I mean, product industries are a little bit different, just because you know that you'll have to put up with it maybe for a little bit, but you're getting the product that you want.
Yeah.
And if it's for a decent enough price, you're going to be like, fine, you know. I'll put
Most
up.
phone salesmen, for example.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Car salesmen.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure there are quite a few good ones out there, but the majority
absolutely.
are awful.
Yeah. Well, fuck it, marketers.
Well,
the amount of marketers that I know that are just unbearable to be around.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's that's a really interesting point. I hadn't really thought of it like that before, so maybe I'll change my attitude. Try to be seen as a decent human being. I'll do my best.
So to round up that then, being a decent human being, going through the points that we've talked about. So actually having values, knowing what you stand for and sticking to them, promising your audience something and delivering on those promises consistently, being honest with yourself and your audience, respecting yourself and your audience, empathizing with your customers, what they have to say, what they think, what they feel, a willingness to actually listen to them, a willingness to talk, but knowing the boundaries between your brand personality and persona and your personal personality and persona. Yeah. A willingness to better yourself and improve and constantly drive to do more. A willingness to then help others better themselves off the back of that. Having a process and making sure that you have those systems and processes in place to account for anything that may go wrong and to easily transform something into going right. Yeah. Those things all round up into being a decent human being and ultimately being seen as professional as you can be. And at the very end of it, if you can carry around a notepad with you everywhere you go.
Write down notes.
And write down any kind of notes.
Look like Russell Crowe from A Beautiful Mind and just keep writing down notes. That's the key.
Then I promise you.
Yeah.
That's the cherry on top.
People will think
and that will definitely do it.
That's a professional there, writing down like Rain Man everything that you see.
In a suit and a tie. Everywhere.
Yeah, do that.
Cool.
I think that's about it.
Nice. Should we move on to the content report?
Yeah.
Right, mate. What you got for us?
So I'm rereading Grant Cardone's Be Obsessed or Be Average. Now, enormous disclaimer, I understand why people don't like Grant Cardone.
Okay. I haven't read it.
Hardcore American sales, right?
Okay.
Not pushy, I don't think, but he prides himself on being, obsessed, right? What I've taken away from this, however, is he has managed to craft an outstanding persona for himself of someone who is just so obsessed that he's labelled as like sick and diseased and like ADD or ADHD and all this kind of stuff.
Wow.
Because he just wants to do all this awesome stuff, right? And I think he's a fantastic example of someone who is constantly committed to just pushing himself. Now, the book itself is actually very, very good. I think it goes over a lot about... a lot of it's about when we're young, you want to be an astronaut or something, and people are like, yeah, it's really, really good. And it's almost like when you hit primary school or kind of, a grade school or something like that, we're then told to kind of wind your net back in.
Yeah.
And don't have such high expectations. And what's weird is that we have been proved that that's not true more than anything else. People have walked on the moon. We have solar powered technology. You can run a 4-minute mile. At the moment, we're close to running a sub 2-hour marathon, which is just mind boggling.
Yeah.
So it's about saying, look, if this is the one thing that you really want to do, feed that and accept that. And it's kind of like saying, look, if the one thing you want to do is be on TV and have a TV show, don't pretend that your thing is world peace. Except you go, actually, that's all I want to do, and do everything that you can to get there. And it's about dealing with people who will give you negative responses. Just kind of on that note as well, I want to say a massive thank you to people who have started emailing us and tweeting us and leaving comments and stuff. It's amazing to see. We have got a small audience. It is growing bit by bit. But it is wonderful to have that kind of feedback from people. But what's interesting as well is I don't doubt that at some point we'll start getting hate mail and negative comments, which I'm actually almost looking forward to more.
To read them out and call them out on the show.
I am desperate to do a hate mail segment on this. I'm desperate because I've already seen
monthly hate mail.
Yeah, there's already quite a few forums and stuff with threads about me, like people saying that I don't know what I'm talking about, which might be the case. But
completely true. They know you so well.
100% true. But no, it's stuff like, I'm like, why would you spend your time? Like, if that's true, just fine.
Because they've decided in their life that their one true calling is to hate Mike Killen.
To take me down. Well, weirdly, that's quite a big part of the book as well, is about how everything that someone says to you is actually a reflection of what they think. And it's very, very, when you break it down like that, you kind of go, well, yeah, obviously. But actually thinking about it, for example, the skydive I did recently. Have I told you about the skydive I did recently?
No, not at all, mate. No.
Never come up.
No, not today, not yesterday, not the day before that. Never. How was it, Mike?
Yeah.
Was it good?
It was about 2 months ago. But a lot of people are like, oh my God, how could you do that? And I was really interested. I was like, because I was trying to kind of fit this stuff in. It's actually, what they're actually saying is, how could I do that, as in they themselves. So they're actually referring to themselves.
Okay.
When they say this kind of stuff, like starting a business is the biggest thing. When you talk to people, they'll say, oh my God, I just don't know how you could do that. And what they're actually saying is, how could I do that?
Yeah.
That it's actually, what they're saying is a reflection of how they see themselves.
That's interesting.
And yeah, it is. It's a great book. I think I do a lot of his sales programs and stuff. I think he's a very, very talented salesperson, but a lot of it comes down to that most people want a 10 out of 10 out of life, but they're only willing to give 1 or 2 out of 10 put in, and you don't. You have to give 100 out of 10 to get 10 out of 10 out.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. So true.
And I'm a big fan of him. I get why people don't like him because he's a very divisive character, but that maybe is the key to gaining huge market share. Is actually he says that if he could make, and we've got an example of a president at the moment, if he can make 50% of a country hate him, you've got yourself a president. And I was like, that's really interesting, because that's absolutely true.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, like we've said on the show before, if you're appealing to everyone, you're appealing to no one.
Yeah.
You need to choose who you're going to appeal to and appeal to them.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you're going to alienate the other 50% of people.
And don't apologise for that.
Don't apologise for it, because that's who you are. As long as you are getting people that you do appeal to and that do love what you do and what you stand for, crack on with it.
Yeah.
Seriously, crack on with it, because you're never going to please everyone.
Yeah.
And you're never going to be successful by trying to please everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
What about you, man?
I like that a lot. Just because I'm in the throes of kind of getting the courses ready and everything for Brand Snack, I have been reading a lot of amazing stuff, blog posts, articles from Mariah Koz from Femtreprenuer.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't been there yet, femtreprenuer.co. She has some absolutely incredible stories, incredible advice about how to build your course online, how to grow it, how to get it out there, literally everything that you want to know about building and conducting an online course. She has something for you somewhere.
Yeah.
She also has a really good show on YouTube and a podcast called The Femtreprenuer Show.
Yeah.
I think they're roughly around sort of 20-minute episodes, but they go through kind of one point here and there that are excellent. So yeah, I've just been going through some excellent content that she has, and really, really enjoying it. She's such a kind of like down-to-earth person as well. She's very realistic. She's very likable. And do you know what? I think it fits very well under our topic for this show about professionalism.
Yeah.
She doesn't sit there with like a suit on. She doesn't sit there with a notepad. She doesn't sit there like, she's not this kind of traditional sense of like, this is how you need to be professional.
And particularly how a woman needs to be professional.
Exactly.
I think she absolutely nails the what appeals to women.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds so fucking trite as a man. For example, the big problem, the reason Wonder Woman has done well, the film, recently, is because she's not delicate. She's actually like a literal, strong, capable female hero protagonist. And things like Femtreprenuer, and there's a few of the other guys, like Marie Forello.
Yes.
Who are not afraid to use words like badass, kick-ass, awesome, and not be delicate.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people in general are missing that. They want to connect with that, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, she has some absolutely outstanding content.
She really does, and she is so generous and gives so much away for free. It's unreal.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've just been kind of reading through her stuff. Really enjoy it. Really enjoy the show. So yeah, if you guys haven't checked her out and Femtreprenuer out yet, I really advise that you do. Give it a go.
Femtreprenuer.co.
That's the one
as well.
Yeah. Just some absolutely outstanding content.
Yeah, cool, man.
Cool.
I think that about does it.
All right, well guys, hope you enjoyed the show.
Bloody
and we will see you on the next one.
Yeah, and as we say at the end of every show,
don't knock it till you try it. that I literally haven't been spending all week thinking that up.
Yeah. And they're ready to go. Good stuff.
Right, brilliant.
Bye, mate.
See ya.
If you liked this episode, please subscribe to the Sell Your Brand show on iTunes or your favourite podcast app and leave a rating and a review. It makes us feel all warm and fuzzy inside when we hear we're not just talking rubbish. If you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show, drop us an email to podcast@sellyourbrandshow.com and we'll feature it in a future episode.